pyramids among humanity's greatest and most enigmatic architectural achievements stand alongside the mummies, the Sphinx, and the fabled curses of the pharaohs as enduring symbols of ancient Egypt's mysteries. Over time, these monumental structures have inspired countless adventure films, legendary tales, and chilling stories steeped in the supernatural. The Great Pyramid of Giza is believed by some researchers to date back at least 12,000 years, long before the rise of dynastic Egypt. This has led to bold speculation that it may have been the creation of a prehistoric civilization long lost to history, or perhaps even the work of an otherworldly intelligence. To this day, however, no definitive or universally accepted explanation has ever been found for the secrets hidden within the pyramids. It's no coincidence that among the 7 wonders of the ancient world, the Great Pyramid of Giza holds the highest place, and remains the only wonder still standing to this very day. According to scientists, the ancient Egyptians built the pyramids at Giza around 2500 BC, however. This theory has many flaws. To begin with, researchers estimate that about 2.4 million stone blocks were used, each weighing between 2 and 4 tons on average, with some blocks weighing as much as 15 tons. In the middle of a vast desert, how could the ancient Egyptians possibly have transported such massive stones to construct these colossal pyramids? Many theories and speculations have been proposed to explain this mystery, but from an architectural and engineering standpoint, none of these methods seem truly convincing. The pyramids of Giza were also designed and constructed in a completely unique way. They have no internal support structures. Instead, their stability and durability come from the precisely measured and carefully arranged stone blocks themselves. Interestingly, these pyramids contain no religious symbols or hieroglyphs inside, which has led many scholars to doubt that they were built by the ancient Egyptians, who always carved inscriptions inside their tombs. At first, it was believed that the pyramid had 4 sides, but in reality, it has 8. From base to tip, each side has a slight inward indentation of about 0.5 to 1 degree, splitting the surface and creating a unique 8-sided structure technique so advanced that even with today's technology, it would be difficult to replicate. Even more remarkable is the location of the Giza Pyramid Complex. It sits precisely at the intersection of the longest line of longitude and the longest line of latitude, meaning it is positioned at the geographic center of Earth's continents. Furthermore, the 3 largest pyramids, Khufu, Khafre, and Menkaure, only align perfectly with each other on the ground, but also line up with the 3 stars in Orion's belt. The ancient Egyptians believed Orion was connected to Osiris, the god of rebirth and the afterlife. Astronomers have also noted that the Giza Pyramid Complex is aligned exactly with the true North Pole to this day, despite being built thousands of years ago. It remains the most accurately aligned structure to true north in the entire world. This raises a profound question. How could ancient people, more than 2,000 years ago, have possessed such precise knowledge of positioning and celestial observation? A new hypothesis to explain the unusual features of the pyramids was proposed by 2 historians, Gary Cannon and Malcolm Hutton, who offered a different perspective on the dating of the Giza pyramids, along with evidence to support their theory. They argued that the Great Sphinx of Giza must have been carved out of a natural rock formation long before the area was covered by sand. In an interview with Express UK, Cannon stated, "The Sphinx had to be carved when there was no sand there. You cannot carve a rock when it is buried under sand." According to them, This would have been around 12,000 years ago, long before the ancient Egyptians even existed. On the other hand, archaeologists have also discovered that the thick layer of sediment, up to 4.3 meters deep, surrounding the base of the pyramids, contains numerous fossilized seashells dating back nearly 11,600 years. These findings suggest that the pyramids and the Sphinx must have been constructed at least 12,000 years ago, possibly even predating the beginning of the last ice age, according to canon. This significant difference in dating also means that the massive tombs were not built by the ancient Egyptians. Historical records of world civilizations note some extraordinary findings. For example, when rusted coins were placed inside a pyramid, after about a month they became shiny and new again. Similarly, a cup of fresh milk placed inside a pyramid would remain unchanged in color and taste even after a month. Fresh fruit stored inside for 2 weeks would still appear fresh without drying out or shriveling. This suggests that the ancient Egyptians may have simply discovered the pyramid's incredible preservation abilities and decided to place mummies inside. Later on, they may have studied these properties further and built smaller versions of the structure. Interestingly, archaeologists have also uncovered numerous skeletal remains of a race of giants, dating back around 12,500 years, the same period when the Great Pyramid is believed to have been built. These individuals were estimated to stand between 4 and 12 meters tall. With such height and strength, constructing enormous pyramids would have been no more difficult for them than building skyscrapers is for us today. So who built this extraordinary monument? On this question, many historians believe that these massive structures may have been constructed long ago by an advanced ancient civilization, perhaps Atlantis, which was ultimately destroyed by a great flood. Canon stated, "I've done some research and found a connection between the pyramids and a sunken continent. It could be Atlantis. When Atlantis sank, its people may have dispersed across the world, possibly to Egypt, and they certainly had the knowledge and technology to build the pyramids we see today. No one else could have done this. It required extremely advanced technology. The 3 smaller pyramids at Giza may well have been built by the ancient Egyptians, since their construction was within human capability. However, the idea that the Great Pyramid, with its 2,250,000 stone blocks, some weighing up to 250 tons, was built by the Egyptians is highly implausible. Even with all the modern machinery we have today, moving such stones would be nearly impossible. This suggests that the civilization responsible for the Great Pyramid may have been far more advanced than even our own modern society. The existence of advanced civilizations before our own cannot simply be dismissed as mere speculation. Archaeologists have uncovered numerous sites and strange artifacts that seem to support this idea. For instance, in June 1968, collector William J. Meister in Utah, USA, discovered a 5-centimeter rock containing a fossilized human footprint, along with something even more astonishing: the fossil of a trilobite crushed beneath the heel. This baffled scientists, as trilobites went extinct at the end of the Permian period, nearly 250 million years ago. How could a human have stepped on a creature that vanished hundreds of millions of years before mankind was supposed to exist? And more puzzling still, the footprint showed the impression of a shoe-clear evidence of modern technology. Could it be possible that a fossilized footprint of a shoe is hundreds of millions of years old? Another striking anomaly comes from Peru. According to the history we are taught, Galileo Galilei invented the telescope in Italy in 1609, yet a 30,000-year-old stone discovered in Peru was carved with the image of a human. figure wearing modern clothing, holding a telescope pointed at the stars, planets, and comets. Some other stones even depict scenes of blood transfusions, organ transplants, and caesarean sections, practices identical to modern medical procedures. If we interpret these findings through the lens of the theory of evolution, they appear utterly inexplicable. Another astonishing example emerged in 1972, when a French factory imported uranium from Oklo in Gabon, Central Africa. To their surprise, engineers discovered that the uranium had already been used. Upon further investigation at the site, they uncovered something extraordinary. The location was once a massive nuclear reactor that had existed 1.8 billion years ago and operated for nearly 500,000 years. Its structure was so advanced and logically designed that even modern humans could not replicate it today. And yet, this is just one among many mysterious ancient sites scattered across the globe. Only those willing to challenge conventional beliefs and approach new archaeological discoveries with open-minded wisdom can begin to grasp these deeper truths. One such mystery lies within ancient Egypt, born around 1341 BC under the name Tutankhamun, meaning the living image of Aten. This young king later ruled Egypt as Pharaoh Tutankhamun for about 10 years, until his death at the age of just 19, around 1324 BC. In both science and archaeology, Tutankhamun remains an enigmatic figure. The secrets of his life and untimely death were buried for thousands of years and continue to surface slowly, piece by piece, casting light on one of history's greatest mysteries. Tutankhamun was the grandson of the great pharaoh, Amenhotep III, and almost certainly the son of Amenhotep, for better known as Akhenaten, one of the most controversial figures in the history of Egypt's 18th dynasty during the New Kingdom period, 1550 to 1295 BC. His mother is believed to have been one of Akhenaten's sisters. At the time of Tutankhamun's birth, ancient Egypt was undergoing major social and political upheaval. His father, Akhenaten, had outlawed the worship of Egypt's many traditional gods, enforcing instead the exclusive worship of a single deity, Aten, the sun disk. For this reason, Akhenaten became known as the heretic king. When the people were forced to venerate Aten, society descended into turmoil. The capital was moved to Amarna, and Akhenaten devoted himself entirely to this religious transformation, neglecting both domestic affairs and foreign policy. As tensions rose, old and new factions within Egypt struggled for power. Atunism grew increasingly authoritarian, and the regime weakened. After 17 years on the throne, Akhenaten died. Some scholars suggest he may have been forced to abdicate and died shortly afterward. At that time, Tutankhamun was only 9 years old when he inherited the throne. In the same year, he married his half-sister Ankhesenamun, the daughter of Akhenaten and Queen Nefertiti. According to records, the young royal couple had 2 daughters, but tragically, both were stillborn. Because Tutankhamun ascended the throne at such a young age, the early years of his reign were governed by a council of 11 elders, with the strong support of Horemheb, Egypt's leading military commander at the time. Together, they reversed Akhenaten's decrees and reinstated traditional polytheistic worship, seeking to restore the old order in the hope that the gods would once again favor Egypt. Tutankhamun ordered the restoration of sacred temples and resumed major construction projects, including the famous red granite statues of lions at Karnak and Luxor. Unlike his father, who had largely abandoned foreign policy, Tutankhamun worked to re-establish Egypt's international relations, and he succeeded. Upon his death, Tutankhamun's body was mummified according to ancient Egyptian religious tradition, which held that the royal corpse must be preserved for passage into the afterlife. The mystery of his death has long been a subject of speculation. Tutankhamun, though tall in stature, was frail in health and suffered from a bone disease that crippled his left foot. Some scholars argued that this weakness was the result of inbreeding within the royal family. DNA testing, published in 2010, confirmed that Tutankhamun's parents were siblings. His remains also revealed a hole at the back of his skull, leading some historians to conclude that he may have been assassinated. However, more recent examinations have dismissed this theory, showing that the fracture was most likely caused during the embalming process rather than by a fatal blow. A CT scan taken in 1995 revealed that the young king had suffered a fracture in his left leg, which later became infected. DNA analysis of his mummy also uncovered evidence of malaria. Together, these conditions may have contributed to his untimely death. Since then, many archaeologists have sought answers to the mystery of Tutankhamun's death, and their search gave rise to the enduring legend of the pharaoh's curse. According to some interpretations, the hieroglyphs inscribed on the walls of his tomb foretold a painful death for anyone who disturbed the boy king's rest. Reports claim that more than 10 members of Howard Carter's expedition team died under mysterious circumstances, deaths often attributed to Tutankhamun's curse. In April 1923, just 2 months after the tomb was opened, Lord Carnarvon, one of the financial backers of Carter's expedition, died from complications of a mosquito bite. Newspapers at the time sensationally declared him a victim of the pharaoh's curse. Some scientists, however, have suggested more rational explanations. It is possible that Carnarvon's death was linked to exposure to toxic substances inside the sealed tomb. Studies have shown that certain ancient mummies carried dangerous molds, and that tomb walls could have been covered with bacteria capable of attacking the respiratory system. Yet, other experts have dismissed this theory, pointing out that Carnarvon had suffered from chronic illness long before he ever set foot near Tutankhamun's tomb. Even so, decades later, the unusual deaths of at least 10 members of the expedition remain an unsolved enigma, leaving the legend of the pharaoh's curse very much alive. In addition, the British Medical Journal published a study in 2002 that revealed a strange detail. The so-called curse appeared to have no effect on native Egyptians. To this day, however, this claim has never been conclusively proven. During his excavation, Howard Carter discovered 2 exquisitely wrapped daggers hidden within the linen bandages of Tutankhamun's mummy. One dagger had a blade of solid gold, while the other featured a blade of iron. Both were sheathed in finely crafted golden scabbards. Of the 2, the iron dagger is considered far more valuable, for in Tutankhamun's time, iron was an exceedingly rare and precious metal. True to the Egyptian phrase, metal from the sky, most iron objects recovered from Tutankhamun's tomb, including small blades, a miniature headrest, and an amulet, were fashioned from meteorite iron. Experts believe these items may have been crafted by local artisans, yet the level of precision and refinement, particularly in the iron dagger, suggests it could have originated from a distant land, rather than being the sole product of Egyptian craftsmanship. However, the second dagger is of extraordinary significance. Meticulously crafted with remarkable precision, it has been regarded by some scholars as a gift from a foreign land rather than a product of Egyptian artisanship. Royal records suggest that the weapon was presented as a diplomatic gift from a neighboring king before Tutankhamun's birth, placed in a position of honor within the burial. It has even been speculated that this dagger was used during the pharaoh's own mummification rituals. When researchers turned their attention to Tutankhamun's famous golden death mask, They envisioned a youthful king with idealized features, a strong jaw, full lips, high cheekbones, and noble brows. Yet, according to reports published by the Daily Mail, modern scientific investigation has unveiled a more somber reality. Through a virtual autopsy using CT imaging, DNA sequencing, and more than 2,000 digital scans, scientists reconstructed the true likeness of the Boy King, while also testing theories that he might have suffered fatal injuries in a chariot accident or perhaps even assassination. Recent studies, however, point to another conclusion. Tutankhamun was born with severe congenital deformities. Physically frail, he exhibited a clubfoot, malformed hips, and epileptic tendencies. Genetic analysis confirmed that he was afflicted with malaria and relied on walking sticks due to a fractured leg. Such conditions would have rendered him incapable of racing chariots at high speed, contradicting earlier theories. And his ailments were likely the tragic result of the royal family's practice of close-skin marriage. The tomb of King Tutankhamun lies in the Valley of the Kings. It is believed that his untimely death required a hasty burial, which is why his body was placed in a relatively modest tomb, likely one, originally prepared for a lesser noble. 70 days after his passing, Tutankhamun was laid to rest and his tomb was sealed. For centuries thereafter, no records of him survived, and his very existence was almost forgotten. Even the location of his burial site was lost to time until 1922, when British archaeologist Howard Carter uncovered the tomb, which had remained sealed for over 3,200 years. The staggering wealth of treasures inside revealed extraordinary insights into royal life in ancient Egypt, instantly transforming Tutankhamun into the most famous pharaoh in the world. These artifacts have since been displayed in blockbuster exhibitions across the globe, most notably the Treasures of Tutankhamun between 1972 and 1981, which captivated millions and ignited worldwide fascination with ancient Egypt. Today, Tutankhamun's mummy is housed in his tomb, KV62. In the Valley of the Kings, his nested coffins have been replaced by a special glass case to preserve his remains. And yet, even after millennia, the mysteries surrounding the Boy King remain unsolved. We are left to wonder who truly built the pyramids that continue to puzzle us to this day. The advanced scientific and architectural knowledge encoded in these monuments is so astonishing that it inspires both awe and bewilderment. But unlocking the secrets of the pyramids is no simple task. Many scientists, driven by curiosity, looters tempted by treasures, and tomb raiders alike have dared to disturb these sacred places only to fall victim, it is said, to the deadly curses of the pharaohs.